Hi, readers. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book. Pick of the week. It is the pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Done.
That is my favorite one so far.
We're getting a little, it's like in the afternoon of recording, and I feel like I'm a little like spicier as the day goes on. So
you've had a warm up,
yep.
So you know the voice can go higher.
Yeah, that probably shattered Windows again. So if you just like got your Windows repaired from last week, I'm sorry. I will not be taking financial responsibility though. So
well, it's my pick of the week this week. Mm-hmm. I cannot go that high. My voice will not cooperate with me. So
that's fair.
You're slightly protected on my end. But this week I'm talking about a book.
Oh, really?
I'm talking.
I had no idea.
Okay.
Sorry, that was snarky.
My brain just went, no, that's totally well-deserved there. Spin the Dawn.
Mm.
I do not remember the author's name. I should probably look that up. So this is a very popular book right now.
Elizabeth
you'll probably see it
Elizabeth Lim.
Elizabeth Lim. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this book I found through Book Talk or Bookstagram, or it's just everywhere right now. It's very popular, and deservedly so. It's pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. So it is a set in like an Asian mythology fantasy setting, mm-hmm. which I think we're seeing more of.
Yeah.
In publishing now, there's several books that kind of dive into like the other side of the world, that folklore, mm-hmm. which is really nice to see. It's kind of a nice step away from what we've been reading all the time.
Yeah.
So very generally, our heroine is a tailor, like a seamstress, except she's the daughter of like this very well-known tailor. Is that what they call him, tailor?
I think so. I cannot think of another word for that, but there might be like a more old-timey word.
Yeah. So her father had a very successful clothing shop, tailor, dress, that kind of thing. And in this world, it was very much a man's job. Like women are seen, not heard. Mm-hmm. Like they can help, but they can never have like a full profession like that. But she is, out of all of this man's children, like she is the most talented, the one that's most qualified to take over the family business. And her mother dies like early on in her childhood. And so she's left to kind of like take care of her brothers and her father and also help the business. And she kind of keeps things going, and she keeps the business going with her like excellent work. And the plot kind of takes off when this messenger from the emperor arrives in the village demanding that her father come to the palace to participate in this sewing competition. Like, what's that show called?
Fashion
Project Runway.
Yeah. Fashion Runway.
Or Next in Fashion, I think is the new Netflix like spinoff. And help make this wardrobe for the king's bride or the emperor's bride, because the country was recently at war and they had this kind of very tenuous peace agreement with the battling country, and the daughter of that warlord agreed to marry the king for peace. And so they have this, I guess, trial of all of the famous tailors and dressmakers in the country convene on the palace to make this beautiful wardrobe for the queen-to-be. And so her father cannot do it. He's like, nope, he hasn't been sewing. It's really been her. And she wants to go and she can't. So Shockingly, she disguises herself as a boy and poses as her father's son and goes to the palace to participate in this competition.
I'm
to make fancy clothes.
Seeing a theme here, Jordan.
I
mean, we all love a girl who takes her father's place by dressing up as a man, but back to back.
I know. I was on a kick. Like I read both. I read A Girl Called Samson and Spin the Dawn like within a week of each other. So it was just like I get into like a trope like trap, and that's all I read, and then I get burnt out and I never touch it again. So
it happens.
Yeah. So she gets to the palace. Her disguise is working way better than the last girl's.
Yeah.
And she starts making these beautiful gowns as part of the competition, and all these tailors that she's competing against are like, "You young whippersnapper, like who do you think you are?" And before she left to go to the palace, her father gave her a pair of scissors that belonged to her grandmother that were, I don't know, have some sort of mysterious property to them.
Ooh.
And she's in the first or second trial of making this dress thing, and her competitors sabotage her, like completely destroy her work in the middle of the night, and there's no time. So she takes these scissors and she kind of seems to get possessed by the scissors, and like they take over and make this magical dress for her, and it outshines everybody. And this is only like a third of the way through the book.
Yeah.
Like this
I remember because I read this
you've read
book.
This too, right?
Yeah, I read it like a while ago. And I remember it takes you through the ringer. Like this book, I don't think it's that long, but it feels long. Like not in a bad way, but there's just like so much that happens that you're like, I'm a third of the way in and it feels like this is the end. Like what the fuck is going to happen next?
This easily could have been like a duology, like with both parts kind of fleshed out more. There's also a mysterious sorcerer figure that is accompanying the king and his bride-to-be and judging the trials. And he's very like charismatic and mysterious and seems to kind of see through her "I'm a boy" disguise right away. Yeah. Wonder why he does that.
Interesting.
So as I was reading this, I got this very much reminded me of a character I read as a kid, which is, so the character's name is Numar from Tamora Pierce's Wild Magic series.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, so the sorcerer dude in this book has kind of the same energy, same vibes as that character. So if you know that book and grew up with it and have acknowledged the very problematic themes in that series and are okay with it, no problematic themes here, but very similar character. But without kind of going into everything that happens in this book, because I don't even think we have the time to do that. It's like broken into, I would say, 3 sections of action. So we have the trials at the beginning, which she wins miraculously. And then she gets sent off on this quest.
Oh, yeah. I remember this part. Okay.
Yeah. And what I kind of forgot to bring up before is that the bride-to-be of the king is like a raging bitch.
Yep, I remember that distinctly.
Yeah. And so she is like, she's against this marriage. She feels betrayed by her father. She didn't want to go into this. And there's kind of like a subplot going on with like her bodyguard that was in love with her.
Oh, yeah. This book was so much, and there was so much going on. Like, as you're talking, I'm like, oh shit, that happened in that same book too.
Yeah. And like I said raging bitch, but I said that lovingly because I really do like that character a lot. And I hope that the second book, which I think is out already in this series, hopefully it has more of her, like the princess bride-to-be character and her story. So she basically demands that the winner of the trial takes on this quest to like spin the tears of the sun and weave the light of the moon and something with the stars and these impossible tasks. And because she wants to delay the marriage, Like that's the only way she can think of this bride-to-be princess. Like, oh, I'm going to give these impossible tasks to the tailor so she cannot finish my wedding gown and therefore I don't have to get married. Great logic here. And so our heroine, again, don't remember her name. I'm really bad at remembering the names. So she agrees because she really doesn't see that she has any other choice. And by this point, her identity is revealed to be a woman.
Oh,
and the king's like,
yeah.
just doesn't really care. Like he's like, just get the job done. Like really. And the king's mage, charismatic wizard type, accompanies her on this quest to do these impossible tasks. And so they set off on this like desert adventure. And this is the middle of the book. So you have so much left to go through. They basically, in short, complete these tasks, make it back to the king, and she presents these magical dresses, gowns, shoes, etc. to the bride. Now, I won't reveal the mighty twist at the end of this book. I mean, it's not a huge twist, but the heroine makes a deal with an entity, and it's a choice that I think some reviewers really disagreed with. When I first reading this book, I like probably you do as well, and a lot of readers, like I go through like the first 5 reviews, like how I read who hated it, who loved it, and like there's some middle ground in there. And a lot of people had issues with the choice that this heroine makes with regards to the deal. And that's kind of where the book leaves off. I mean, I didn't really talk about the romance subplot. It happens. It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't really impressed by it. Like there was no build up. There was no tension. There was no excitement. It's like, oh, yep, can see this one coming. Oh, look, there it is.
Yeah.
And okay, there's our forced drama.
I think I had the same impression. It was just like, oh, okay, well, yep, there it is. Now it's a fantasy romance.
Yeah, it kind of, you really need to stand out to be memorable or to engage the reader in this genre now. So that said, I did like read this book in a few days. Like I didn't stay up late to read it, but it was pretty darn good. And I haven't read the second book yet. So like it's not so much of a cliffhanger that you'll be forced to immediately start reading the second one. It's kind of like if you loved it, then yeah, maybe, but
yeah.
Interesting.
So 3 books similar. So if you like this one, what should you read next, or vice versa?
For like a similar Asian folklore mythology setting, Daughter of the Moon Goddess is fantastic. It's kind of got the same pacing, like I don't want to say pacing issue, but there's a lot that goes on, and like it's hard to have tension build up because there's so much that happens.
Yeah.
But that's a good one if you liked this. I would say that This Woven Kingdom is similar in language and vibe.
Okay.
Completely different setting, but it's got like a feel is similar to this book.
Yeah.
And then there should be one more. I had it and now I don't know what.
This one kind of reminds me of so on the one hand, it kind of gives me the same vibes as Cinder. It's like the Cinderella retelling. It's kind of more like YA than new young adult or whatever, or new adult. And then it also, did you ever read, it's called like Ghost Bride, I think. Ghost Bride. Let me pull it up. Yeah, The Ghost Bride by, I'm going to butcher this name, Yangzi Chu. Super good. I feel like it has the same kind of like mythical, kind of like magic-y undertones to it. The same kind of like encompassing, I don't know, magic. I just imagine, like fog and like fancy, crazy spirit world stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Same vibe.
Oh, okay. And then it came to me. So I mentioned earlier that the hero is very much similar to like Tamora Pierce's.
Oh, yeah,
Pierce's characters. Basically, anything that author wrote would be in the same kind of.
I can see that. Yeah, it kind of has that like epic fantasy. Yeah. Nice. Well, from Jordan's shelf to yours,
we will see you on the next page.
Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday on Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Music. Thanks for listening.